when you grew up, were you particularly religious, your family?
So that's an interesting question. I was raised Catholic, um, but not really. I think my parents would even say that I wasn't necessarily very well catechized. And amazing people, my parents, but I think we're just kind of in that generation that wasn't super well catechized. So I didn't really know about like the true presence in the Eucharist or things like that. Pretty substantial teachings of the church. We prayed grace before meals, and we went to church on Sundays, and that was kind of the threshold of the faith that we practiced at home. Um, and when I was in high school, my whole family left the Catholic Church.
Oh, wow.
Um, and
Why?
um, that's also an interesting question. We've never really talked as a family about why it was.
Well, let's do it live on
Um,
YouTube right
yeah,
now.
right? Yeah.
Let's dig into it.
I'm sure my parents are going to watch this, so sorry, mom, sorry, dad. Let's just air our family history. No, I think that probably most of us in our family would say it came about because my brother was very seriously injured in the war
Hmm.
in Iraq, and he was in the hospital for about a year and a half in Walter Reed,
Hmm.
and it just kind of shook our faith, I guess, because our faith was so superficial that we had never really had to encounter such trauma, and I think that those kind of things can either bring someone much closer to the Lord or can cause them to kind of forget him, and I guess we took the latter route. So but like I said, we never really talked about it. We just kind of stopped going to church as a family. And then shortly thereafter, my dad was sent to Baghdad, um, and less than a year before retiring. And and then when he came back, we just never really went back to church
So it wasn't like
until
something your parents declared. It wasn't like we have
yeah,
made an
no,
official decision. You just kind of stopped.
yeah. So
Okay, so then when did you have some sort of religious awakening? Surely that must have happened between not really going to mass and being a nun.
yeah, something happened in there. When I was in college, I I had a pretty big reversion back to the Catholic Church. And it was actually, oh gosh, this is a great story. I've told this story recently. By recently, I mean maybe a year ago. Someone, very sweet old lady, was asking me about like my conversion story, and I said, well, when I was in college and I met this guy and I had a crush on him, and she was like, "You mean Jesus?" And I was like, "No, no,
No,
his name was
no,
Eric." um, his name wasn't Eric. I made that name up,
that's
but
good.
yeah, but that's what it was. I had a crush on a guy, and he invited me to mass at the cathedral in Denver. And I was like, "No way! I don't want to go to mass. I haven't been in years." But you know, I had a crush on the guy, so what are you gonna do? So
Exactly.
I went and I just wept through all of Mass and just felt Christ's
Wow.
presence stronger than I ever had, which I think is a huge testament to the truth of the real presence in the Eucharist. Because, like I said, I wasn't even aware of that teaching, but I just like felt his presence there um, in the
So was
Mass.
there a
So,
particular point within Holy Mass that you began to sort of have that experience? It wasn't like you walked in, genuflected, sat down, and started crying. Was it like the Eucharist in particular, or
I can't recall,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah? That's a good, honest answer. Was this like a focus guy? I don't know. It's Focus
It
has a big presence in Denver.
Right. He wasn't a focus missionary, but he was involved in like he was in focus on campus. So
God
so
bless
that's
him.
actually how it continued is he invited me to his adoration group, um, the adoration group that he led on campus and or near campus. And again, I said no because I thought this was ridiculous. But then I go anyways, still haven't learned about the true presence. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do these people think they're doing? And it felt very strange, but I just kind of closed my eyes and prayed. And then we went out for hamburgers afterwards. And a Focus missionary said to me there, he was like, hey, you should come to this Focus conference.
Huh.
And I was like, no, I haven't been to church in years, and this is like the first time I've been back, and I'm not going to some like Jesus freak convention is what I thought it was. And he was like, it's in Florida, And I still said no. And he asked why not. And I said, well, I can't afford it, which was true, but an excuse. And so he said, we'll pay for everything. We'll pay for the flight. We'll pay for the conference, everything. Your food while you're there. And now I'm thinking like college kid, free trip to Florida.
Nice.
And with this guy that I have a crush on. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go. And so he pulls his laptop out in the restaurant and he's like, great, sign up right now.
Bloody
So I signed up
enthusiastic
for
Catholics, huh? There's nothing
That's
quite
right.
like it. Calm down there, champion. Let's give it 24 hours. Marinate in
Amen.
this idea a little bit.
Yeah.
I was there. I spoke at that SIG conference in Florida.
Well, how do you know?
Well, because
They've had multiple, haven't they?
I don't think so. I mean, you're talking about two. Well, they've had multiple, but not so many that I think they've been back to. This was right by Disney World, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And this
It
was
was
in 2000 and what, 12, around there?
Like
I forget.
2010, I think.
Yeah, that was the one. I was there. I was speaking. You didn't even say hi.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I might have listened to your talk. If I did, I
think I
forgot about
spoke
it.
to. Yeah, it wasn't memorable, but cheers. No, I think I spoke to the men. I was so sick, so awfully sick. That entire day that I had to speak, I had I had a banana and a bottle of Pepto-Bismol. And I remember after my second talk, which I think I did quite well at, walking down the stairs and just laying on the carpet. And I think some like inspired college student came around. Like, it was in the back of the stage, so I was behind the curtains. I obviously wasn't just laying in the middle of the floor, but I was backstage laying on the ground, and someone came around. Hey, that was so great. I'm like, I couldn't barely talk, but so that's crazy. So you went to that conference, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What was that
Yeah.
like?
It was something I had experienced when I was in high school. I had experienced some people who were really passionate about their faith, and some kids my age, and I started to feel a pull at that point, just because like I saw this joy that they had, and I wanted to be around that. I just wanted to be around the joy. But what was different about this Focus conference is I saw this same joy, but it wasn't just that I wanted to be around the joy. I wanted that joy for myself. So that's what the experience was for me. It was like how like I'm doing all of the things that the world tells us will make us happy, and I'm miserable. And all of these people have so much joy, and so like where did it come from? Because that's what I want. And so that
Were most of your
conference,
friends secular at the time?
most of my friends,
Yeah, were they not? Obviously in the church?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
My best friend, shout out to Laura, she's amazing. She's a very devout Catholic, and so she was kind of, which at the time I found to be like an annoying quirk. And
But something you could
where,
look past.
right, exactly. So you can see where that got me. So,
Okay.
so yeah, people can blame her for me being a nun, but other than her, yeah, most of my friends were secular, and even, for this time, for a long time after my reversion, there was kind of this, there was this great tension within me, as I was contending with. I still was keeping most of those secular friends, which is not a bad thing. It's fine to have secular friends. I still have secular friends, but I was kind of like still relying on them and sort of keeping them there simply because I was worried that this whole religion thing might fall through, and it might not actually be a sustaining happiness. And so I didn't want to like burn this bridge with these other relationships if this new fad fell through,
That's
know?
actually that's a super prudent thing to think. Because how old were you at the time? Like 24,
I was
5?
I was 20. I
20.
think.
Yeah, that's a super prudent thing. Like, okay, these people seem happy. Maybe I'm beginning to experience this thing that they're experiencing, but this might just be an emotional high that I'm going to quickly overcome, several weeks after this cool experience. Yeah, that's neat.
Thank you for watching this clip. You can click here to watch the full episode. And I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors and to our amazing patrons for making all of this possible. Please do us a favor before you go. Click that subscribe button and then the bell. And that way YouTube will be forced to let you know every time we put out a new episode.